Hey guys, Carl from Phillips Place. Today I'm taking a look at Scholars of the South Tigris, the second game in the South Tigris series from designers Shem, Phillips, and Sam MacDonald and publisher Garphill Games. This, as I said, is the second game in this series, and this series this time is sort of focused on dice and dice placement. This is a dice placement and bag building game in which you sort of find yourself in the South Tigris, sort of in ancient Middle Eastern areas, working to translate scrolls from a variety of different languages into Arabic, using a unique sort of dice placement, crossed worker placement, plus sort of color mixing system in this game to sort of hire translators, have scrolls moved into the House of Wisdom, and then use those translators to translate those scrolls from, as I said, a variety of different languages into Arabic. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game for this video, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Scholars of the South Tigris, begin by placing out the main board on the table. Next, take the translator cards with this sort of blue background side face up, separating them by translator type. And then I'm going to shuffle each of the stacks of translators and place them out in the matching location on the board. Next, I'm going to take the stack of scroll cards, separating out these 4 Caliph cards, which will be used shortly, and then taking the rest of those scrolls, giving them a good shuffle, placing 1 face-up scroll card in each of the 6 map locations, as well as in the top slot of each guild at the House of Wisdom. Then to finish setting up the scroll cards, you're going to take the remaining scroll cards along with those 4 Caliph cards you removed before, giving those a good shuffle. And then you're going to set them up depending on the length of game that you choose to play for that playthrough. And there are 2 different lengths of game. You can play on the shorter casual game as shown here, or on the slightly longer epic game that does just stretch the game a little bit longer, giving you a little bit more time to work out your sort of engine that you're building throughout the game. For this playthrough, just so that it doesn't get super long, I will be playing on the casual game. And what that means is we're going to set up a deck of scroll cards based first on the number of players, which according to us versus the AI will be a 2-player game. So I'm going to start by placing 1 scroll card down, and then I'm going to make 4 piles of 2 scroll cards. And into each of those piles of 2, I will mix in randomly 1 of those Caliph cards, and those will be stacked 1 upon each other. So we're going to have sets of 3 cards with a Caliph card somewhere mixed inside. And then finally on top of that, we will place an additional 3 scroll cards on top. So the first 3 scroll cards will absolutely not be Caliph cards. And then somewhere in the next 3 cards will be a Caliph card, and so on. And those again will be stacked in that order with this 3 stack on top and this 1 stack on the bottom. And I'll set those off to the side of the screen. The remaining scroll cards won't be used in play unless we run out at the very last sort of round of the game. So I'm going to set those off screen and we'll pull them back in if needed. So here is our completed deck of scroll cards for this gameplay. And again, there is a nice thick stack off to the side of the screen that will come in if we need them at the very end of the game. Next, on this map area, I need to place my player piece at this top location and place the neutral player marker, or not even player marker, just a neutral marker down here at the bottom center space. Next, I need to place 1 of my banners at the bottom of each of these sort of research tracks in mathematics, physics, chemistry, philosophy, biology, and finally astronomy, like that. And then finally, to finish setting up the main board, we need to place out 4 starting translators in the sort of translation area down here at the bottom at random. So I'm going to take these 10 translator cards that are starting translators marked by these numbers down here in the corner, shuffle those up, and we will place out 4 of them at random. And you'll see when it's time to place one out, allowing that to focus, I'm going to place each drawn translator into the house or into the area matching its number. So 1 is going to go right there. Next 7, then 4, and finally number Not focusing, 9 goes there. The rest of those translators will go back into the box. And then I'm going to take these sort of setup cards here, give those a good shuffle, and I'll place one of those at random with each of the 4 starting translators, because after doing so, I'm going to then end up choosing one pair of startup card and starting translator as my starting setup for the game. Again, the rest of those cards get placed off to the side or back into the box because they will not be needed for gameplay. But then before I select my translator and starting resources, I need to set up the player area. So coming over to the other screen, we need to get a player board for ourselves, which are these skinny guys right here. Opening that up, I will just sort of set that here. I do need to leave some space down here at the bottom of the screen for extension off the bottom. And then since I am playing the solo mode, I need to then take this AI board like this, and I will just set that here. Again, leaving space up here for cards that the AI is going to collect. To set up the AI board, we need to take the marker. We need to take the marker in the AI player color, which is going to be red for this playthrough. Place that here on the leftmost slot there. And then we will take this 6-card AI deck, give that a good shuffle, and place that here in the leftmost slot on their board. In addition, we will need to collect all of the AI banners and influence markers and set those out on the table, which I will sort of just pile up over here. Sorry, it's a little messy, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Same thing for myself. You've already seen I'm playing purple based on the components I placed on the board. I need to then take my influence markers here in purple, which I'll place right here off to the side. I need to take my deck of cards marked by the color of my board or of my playing pieces, which in this case is purple. And I'll explain what all these do in a minute, but those are my cards. Then I'm going to take these 6 gold cards, turning them face down and giving them a shuffle, picking one at random, which will be this lady right here. That card gets placed there, and I'm going to fill in the slots with what it shows on there. So it will be a white meeple right there, a yellow meeple right here, and an orange die at the bottom space right there. The value doesn't matter because it's going to get rolled when I get it anyway. And then from these cards, I'm going to choose the one that matches the person I just drew, which is that one, turning that over, and that will be my first scroll that I've collected. And I'll just start a collection over here. I apologize, there is some glare on this side of the screen, so actually let me go ahead and slide these things down a little bit because I don't need that much space. And hopefully then we can eliminate some of the glare off to that side, like that. So having done that, I can then go back and select my starting translator and starting resources based on what I see. So I can see here, my gold card here says I get this meeple as soon as I interact with that translator, who is a Sanskrit to Greek translator. I'll show you that in just a second, and I'll explain what interact means once we get into rules a bit more. This one says as soon as I translate a scroll in the Purple Guild at the House of Wisdom, I will get that meeple. And when I get to level 3 or higher on the chemistry track, I will take that orange meeple. And once I've cleared all of those, I will flip that over and it will become an additional card in my hand, plus an additional spot later that I can play cards into. Now again, you probably don't know what all of that means yet, but I wanted to say that so that when we go back over there, you will have some idea of what it is that I'm looking at. So then back at the main board, I've got 4 translators: Greek to Arabic, Persian to Arabic, Greek to Persian to Syriac, and Greek to Hebrew to Persian. There are a couple of things I want to look at when I'm looking at the translators. The amount of gold that you see at the top of the window is sort of going to be how many times that translator can be used before they retire. So 3 gold means I can use that translator 3 times, whereas if I pick this translator, I would only be able to use her once unless I do something special to change that before she retires. Now, retiring is not necessarily a bad thing because a retired translator is how I score the points on that card, plus how I get this sort of ability at the bottom of the card added to my player engine, basically. But also that means that I won't be able to use them to translate further scrolls. So somewhere in the middle, say a 2 may be a better way to start than a 1 or a 3, but that also depends on what the starting resources are. Now, I need to focus on going up this orange track. I need to focus on translating scrolls in the purple building, and I also need to focus on interacting with this card. Now, interacting could be just discarding that card to take what it shows in the top right corner, which I will explain in just a minute as we get into gameplay. But it could also mean hiring her or employing her into the sort of translator row down at the bottom. And we can see that she translates Sanskrit into Greek. So it might be worth looking at one of these two, because one of these two can translate Greek into something else. Now, ultimately, when we are translating scrolls, we want to get to Arabic. So if I had her, she could instantly translate a Sanskrit scroll into Arabic using just those two. If I took him, he could take Sanskrit and turn it into Persian or Syriac, but then I would need a Persian or Syriac translator to translate them finally into Arabic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means we're going to need to have an additional step of translation. That also, though, means that he can translate Greek to Persian or Greek to Syriac and allow me to use somebody who's not a Greek to Arabic translator. There's also the ability to share the AI's translators if I pay money. Again, I will explain all of this as I get into play. I just want you to sort of think about or hear about what it is I'm thinking as we get in. This guy's also Greek, I noticed, and he goes to Hebrew or Persian. But Hebrew is still a sort of middling language, so there is no Hebrew to Arabic. I'd have to go Hebrew to Persian and then Persian to Arabic, but he already does Persian and Hebrew. You will see, though, that this will not always be Hebrew to Persian. As we get down there, that combination will change. But I also see that this guy gives me one starting level in chemistry. So I think this is the guy I'm going to take, which means, let me clear these away. These three translators will be neutral translators. Neutral translators means in a multiplayer game that we don't have to pay anyone, we just pay into the supply when we use them. But in the case of the AI solo mode, the neutral translators effectively become the translators of the AI player. But that means I'm going to take one of my influence tokens and place that in the top left corner of this card to mark that as my translator, because when that gets used, I will get paid for it. Or if I use it, I don't need to pay for it. And that means from this card, I'm going to first, let's come back over to the player board area. I'm going to first take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white dice and 1 yellow die, placing them into my bag. So again, into my bag, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white dice. And then also 1 yellow die, placing that into my bag. And the next step says I don't know if you can see that, I should draw 4 dice from my bag. So I'm going to, from those dice that I just put in there, take out 4 dice at random. Ooh, and I did get my yellow, rolling those. And those will be my dice that I have available to me for actions in this first round. Then following along that card, I'm then going to take 1 piece of gold, 3 coins, and 1 white meeple. So I've got 3 coins, 1 white meeple, and 1 piece of gold, which I'll place down here as well so you can see that. Actually, let's keep it over here. And then, finally, coming back to the main board, the bottom of that card does show a chemistry symbol, means I need to move up 1 on the chemistry track, and I instantly get to, based on this non-colored background, that's an instant trigger, get rid of 1 white die. So from my bag, I will return one white die to the box, and you'll see why that's important later on, but just know that white dice are not that strong. Then I'm going to take that card that I had, flipping it over like that, and that becomes a sort of additional income you'll see when we take a rest action, but also is a bit of a player aid that stays out on my board as well. It also down here at the bottom explains the different levels of translation. So here Chinese and Sanskrit can translate to Greek and Hebrew to Persian and Syriac, Persian and Syriac then down to Arabic, which is what ultimately I need to do in order to finish a translation. Then all we need to do last is I am the first player for this game, so I will take this first player marker and set that down over here to remember I'm first player. Sorry, that's almost completely true. The last thing I really need to do is there are 2 player aid cards for the solo AI player that will explain all of their actions. So I'm going to set those over here for use to help explain and to sort of reference when needed as we play. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay. Scholars of the South Tigris is going to play out over an indeterminate number of rounds, taking turns between myself and the AI, starting with me because I have the first player marker, until from this scroll card deck, all 4 Caliph cards have been placed out. When the 4th Caliph card gets placed out, that triggers the end of the game. We will finish that round and we will play one final additional round. And after that additional round, the game will end. So on my turn, looking back at my player board, I am going to select one card from my hand, playing it into one of the available slots on my player board and triggering whatever action is shown at the bottom of that space. However, in addition to placing out the card, on those cards you will see there are 2 empty slots where I can place up to 2 dice. And the dice that are placed there are going to determine sort of what value or what type of that action I can take. And depending on the action I'm taking, the color and or the value of the die might be important. You'll notice that these cards also have a few other things printed on them. At the bottom of the card down here, you will see something that is triggered when we rest. This means during the rest action, this is triggered as income. Most of these are just going to be triggering whatever income we are getting from that sort of respective study type, meaning chemistry or physics or philosophy and so on. And I'll show what that means later on when we go back to the main board. But you'll notice that some of the cards, meaning these 2 right here, also have something printed at the top. And these you will get immediately when you play this card on your player board. But because you are getting some kind of immediate benefit, you will also notice that during the rest phase, these will force you to add 1 white die to your bag. And that's going to be a problem for 2 reasons. Once at the end of the game, we're going to subtract the number of white dice we have in our supply from the number of non-white dice we have in our supply. And that value is going to sort of determine a couple of bonus points that we get at the end of the game based on who has the lower value of that number. And I just realized that I never set that up for the AI. On the back of the AI board, it tells us different setup for different difficulty levels. I will be playing level 2 Scribe. So there's no reason for me to do anything special for most of these things, but they will start with 1 scroll card as a Persian, and they will start with their starting dice sum, which is that number I was just talking about, set to a 0. I'm going to put that back down, placing those cards back out, placing that there. That means this dice sum on their board starts here at 0. I also need to draw one, not draw, but just take 1 scroll card from the top of the cards we set aside at the beginning of the game. It doesn't matter what that card is, it's just going to get slotted here as 1 Persian card for scoring at the end of the game for them. The other reason white dice are bad is that if we have 6 or more white dice, as shown here, then we will lose -3 points at the end of the game. So I need to make sure that I have less than 6 white dice at the end of the game, if possible, to avoid taking that sort of negative point at the end of the game. But again, there will be lots of options, as we just saw through that chemistry track, that allow me to remove white dice from the game. But we also have to be careful because a lot of things like here and here will cause me to add white dice to my supply. So I do need to balance that out as we go. So again, on my turn, I'm placing a card here, placing dice to sort of set the value of that action and determining the action based on the slot I've placed into. And the 4 actions that we have are recruit a translator, move or travel, research, and translate. So I want to go back to the main board to sort of explain what those 4 actions do. The recruit action is how we interact with the translators at the top of the board. There are 2 options we can take when recruiting. We can choose to either dispatch that translator, simply taking whatever it shows in the top right corner of that card, putting that translator at the bottom of the deck. Or we can choose to sort of hire or employ that translator, placing them down here in one of the empty slots at the bottom of the board. And doing so, that translator doesn't give us anything except for the ability in future turns to use that translator to translate scrolls. You'll also see this banner down at the bottom. I already sort of explained that. This is going to be the number of points that that translator is worth if they retire by the end of the game. And this thing down here in the banner is going to be an additional ability that you receive when that translator retires, because it's going to slot in underneath your board under one of those 4 main action slots that do have that matching brown banner. So 2 things I need to explain while talking about that. In order to interact with the translators at the top of the board, when playing a card on the recruit action, the value of the dice placed must be equal to or higher than the number below the translator you're interacting with. So these 2 can be interacted with any value. These 2 need a 3 or higher. These 2 need a 5 or higher, and these 2 need a 7 or higher. In order to dispatch a translator getting what it shows in the top right corner, that's all that needs to happen. In order to employ the translator, though, you need to pay the cost as printed here on the board, for example, 3 coins, 0 coins, 2 coins, etc., for the slot that you're hoping to place that translator into. And if you can't afford the cost of any of those, then you cannot employ that translator. And then when the translator is placed onto one of those slots, you will get whatever the benefit it shows in the top right corner is. So let me go over a couple of the benefits quickly. Anytime you see a colored meeple, you will take that meeple. Anytime you see a rainbow meeple like that, means I can choose one of whatever color I'd like to. Coins and gold should be obvious. Any die with a plus symbol means you add that die to your bag. Any die with an X like that means I can remove it from my bag or from my play area. Any die like here with a green hand symbol means instead of adding that die to my bag, I will instantly roll it and add it to my available dice pool. Anything that looks like one of the symbols of the track means that I move up 1 space on that track. And then anything that has this little star symbol on it means I get to place my influence on either a card, a scroll card as shown here, and that could be a scroll card in the House of Wisdom or a scroll card on the map. Or in a case like this, one of the guilds. And this one is all 3 colors, so I would get to choose, whereas this one, for example, only shows orange, so I would need to place my influence in that particular guild. And when I place influence in a guild, that is sort of an area majority kind of thing. Whoever has the most in that guild will get placed in this top space, which will at the end of the game score those points, but will also give us special point scoring or special abilities each time the Caliph cards come out. But you'll see how that works as we sort of play through the gameplay. Also, anybody who has influence in a guild during a Caliph trigger that is not sort of controlling that guild will get whatever bonus thing is printed down here at the bottom of each guild. Placing influence on a scroll card means that anytime somebody interacts with a scroll card, you must pay 1 silver to the person who owns that influence marker. So in the case the AI has an influence marker on a card, I would need to pay 1 silver to the AI in order to interact with that particular scroll card. However, in the solo mode, it works a little bit special for you because when you place influence on a scroll card, you can actually block the AI from using that card if you choose to, or you can allow them to use that card, but take the 1 silver from the supply as if they were paying you silver. So that is the translate action. Now, why do you want to do, the recruit action? Why do you want to do that? To make sure, again, that you have the right translators to move from whatever the scroll's language is ultimately into Arabic. So the next action is the travel action. And the travel action is basically the action we're mostly going to be using to move these scrolls into the House of Wisdom so that our translators can translate them. So when you take a travel action, the value of the die or dice that are placed on that action will determine how many spaces around this area clockwise that you can move your marker. If you land on any of these whitish spaces, you will simply take whatever it shows in that little box, often gold or money or dice or influence. But if you land on one of these black areas, you can then send that card, that scroll card, into one of the guilds in the House of Wisdom. And the way that you do that is simply by choosing whichever guild you'd like to send it to, spending then 4 coins to do so, gaining either 1, or in the case of this top row, 2 influence in that particular guild, and 1 gold. If you use this bottom row, you would also then have to take 1 white die added to your bag. In addition to what's printed here, whatever sort of research track is printed down here at the bottom of the card will also go up 1 level as that card is added into the House of Wisdom. After doing so, you're going to draw a new scroll card to replace, and if that scroll card is a Caliph card, as I mentioned before, it will get placed up in the next open slot here and trigger a sort of mid-game scoring, which I'll explain later when that happens for the first time. It's worth mentioning I only talked about values up here for recruiting. Color does not matter when taking the recruit action, and that's mostly true for the travel action, except that you'll notice that some of these areas have a colored background. And what those mean is if you use the appropriate color for that action, when you pass over the color matching the color you've played, you will also get that additional bonus for that action. So if I used an orange die to move from here to here, I would get 2 coins. And I said orange, but it could also be red and yellow, and I will explain that in just a second after I finish the 4 actions. The next action I can take is here in the middle of the board, and that is the research action. The research action, again, does matter both value and color, except for this small one here. I can always play a research action for any value, regardless of color, to take 1 meeple of any color and 1 coin. But these are sort of the main focus of the research action, and that is to drive up our research tracks. For 4+ value and 1 gold, I can move up the matching track, matching the color of the dice that I've played, 1 space, and take 2 coins. For an 8+ value, I can move up the matching colored track and take 2 coins. So the difference here is if I have a higher value, I do not need to spend gold for that action. And that's going to be important because in a minute you'll see that when we translate a scroll, we will need to pay the translators in gold. So gold is going to be a pretty valuable resource that we may not want to waste at that place. Then finally, for a 10+ value and 2 gold, we can move up twice on the matching colored track and take 2 coins. And now why do I want to move up the track? There are 3 reasons I want to do that. Any of the clear background areas like we saw at the beginning of the game will give me one-time immediate benefit. Any of the ones that have a dark color banner will become a sort of income during a rest phase, assuming only that we play the card matching that guild, or matching, that research type on our turn. So for example, if I played this card, when I rested, I would trigger the income of the chemistry track, which right now, my only income that I've passed is this here, which allows me to spend 1 meeple to get a gold. If I had moved up here, I would no longer do that. I would instead just get 1 free gold. So you're always triggering whatever the highest solid colored area you've already passed or are at when you trigger that rest ability. The other reason you want to move up here is you're going to get just flat points at the end of the game based on the level of, sort of the highest level that each of your markers have gone up. So for each of the markers, you're going to look at what is the highest value it has passed, and you'll score that number of points at the end of the game. So then finally, the last action is translate. And when we're translating, we're going to select one of the scrolls in a guild. And for this action, the value of die does not matter. You only need to play dice that are equal or that match the color of the guild where you are trying to translate. So if I want to translate this, I need to spend purple dice or a combination of dice that becomes purple. Here would be orange and here would be green. And then what I'm going to do is I need to take a look at this language, and I need to find a pathway to get from this language to Arabic using the translators available down here. So currently, I could go using this translator from Hebrew to Persian, and then finally using this translator to go from Persian to Arabic. And to do so, I would need to place 1 gold here and 1 gold here. Then, in the case that like these two both, that they are not my personal translators, I would need to pay 1 silver per translator to the AI. So I want to do my best to use my own translators. So I kind of want to focus on languages that match my translator. So when I'm sending scrolls from the map to the House of Worship, or sorry, House of Wisdom, I should be paying attention to languages that match things that I will be able to translate without having to pay the AI to do so. And when you do that, when you translate a scroll, that scroll will then go into your play area. At the end of the game, it will score you points based on this value plus any kind of special scoring goals here. For example, 1 point per Chinese scroll translated and 1 point per Syriac scroll translated. In addition, as soon as you take this card, you will once again move up on the track shown on that card. Some of the cards, like this one here, will also have an instant ability printed on the card like this, which says I will instantly add 1 purple die to my bag. And again, just to show you another scoring condition, this would be 4 points plus 1 per purple die that you have in your collection. And here 2 points if you had 4 or more blue dice at the end of the game. In addition, after taking your turn, after the translation action, based on gold that has been placed out on the translators, if the translator has a number of gold equal to the number of gold printed above them, that translator will come off the board and retire. For the AI, they just get to set aside, and the AI will score the points shown here. For me, I will also get those points, but coming back to my player board, I would then slot that card into one of my actions, effectively adding something to that action every time I take it. And that could be some kind of ability that triggers, or it could be potentially a different action type that could be taken at that location. So that's pretty much it for the main board, except for some of the Caliph stuff and some of the smaller abilities that I haven't fully explained. But coming back to my player board for a second, I do want to explain a rest action. So when I decide to, instead of placing dice and cards, take a rest action, I'm going to first, actually back at the main board, I'm going to first draw a card from the bottom of this deck, which will then move the neutral translator around, potentially replacing one of these cards if it does not have any influence on it, and potentially refilling a guild if the guild is completely empty at that point. That also could potentially trigger a Caliph card, progressing the game and triggering a mid-game scoring round. But also then again on my board, it would trigger all of these rest actions at the bottom of my board. This one giving me a coin, this one giving me a gold, this one giving me white meeples if they hadn't been covered. Any of the things that trigger from my cards. And then this one is always going to trigger the sort of astronomy track, which is going to determine how many dice I pull out of my bag and roll for the next round. On the AI's turn, they're going to turn over their card and take their action as shown, but I'm going to wait to explain that until the AI takes their first turn. Let me go ahead and take my first turn. So on the board, I see there's a Sanskrit card here. I see there's another Sanskrit card here. This based on translators that have retired into my sort of retired pool. And this one's scoring based on Greek and Persian translations, which could be nice because he's already Greek. So that might work out. And I'm thinking that because my gold card says I need to interact with her. So if I can get her into a thing, that would be great. Her ability, if she retires early, lets me drive up on purple, which is going to be how I get silver, which I will need a lot of in this game. So that's not bad to have. He also gets me silver. If I do that, I will need to have a Persian to Arabic. I could use his for one round, or I could try and get her later on. So I kind of want to drive this Sanskrit card to a guild, because that will potentially eventually get me more dice draws, whereas this one will just be getting me more meeples, which I will need to explain still because I haven't talked too much about the color system. But that would be good. Get her Sanskrit to Greek, Greek to Persian, Persian to Arabic, or potentially Syriac. Either one would work. But that means I need 4 coins to get over here. I need somewhere between 0 and 3 coins to place out a new translator. I also wouldn't mind this Syriac card, because it would give me more chemistry, which I do need to push up. And it scores on Greek, so I could focus on Greek being my thing. And it would be a purple translation that matches my goal as well. So maybe I need to do this guy first, put him in a higher slot so I have him around, then focus on her at a slightly later point. Yeah, let's do that. And I only have 3 coins right now, so I can't send a scroll to the House of Wisdom anyway. Problem is, I don't have any ability to translate purple, because I only have a yellow die. So let me explain how colors work. I am going to recruit that guy. So I want to look at which card I want to play, and it's early in the game, and more money would be nice to have. So I am going to play that card, and I am going to do that into the recruit area. And now I need to place from here my dice. So I can place 1 or 2 dice in those slots. White dice are white dice, yellow dice, red, blue, everything has its own color. To make colors, we can blend dice. So if I put a red and a blue, that's purple, obviously. A yellow and a red would be orange, and a blue and a yellow would be green. But we also have these meeples. If we play a meeple with a die of a matching color, it will change the value of the die to a 6. If we play a die with a meeple of a different color, in this case, it will change the color of that die to that color. And that's true even if the die is non-white. So if I played a blue die and I placed a yellow meeple, that does not become green, that becomes a yellow 5. In order to become green, I have to place a blue die and a yellow die, or dice that I have turned into blue and yellow using my meeples. So it's important that color blending only happens based on dice color, and meeples can either change the color to the color of the meeple or increase the value to 6 if the meeple matches the color of the die being placed. So I want to interact with Syriac. He needs a 5+. I'd rather not use multiple dice if possible. So I'm going to place that 6. I do get 2 coins for having used that card. So now I'm up to 5 coins, which is nice. And I need to aim to get to purple. And I'd like to focus over here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that guy, because I spent more than 6+ value card, placing him here, spending 2 coins, and that lets me take a red die to my hand and get rid of 1 more white die, which is great. That flips over to this side, and I place my influence on there so I remember that he's mine, like that. Then I'm going to take a red die, rolling it and adding it to my pool, red 4, and then from my bag or from my play area, but I'd rather not lose dice from my play area, I'm going to remove 1 white die and return that to the box. And that's my turn. AI takes their turn turning over this card, and now we can see what an AI card looks like. First things first, the AI is going to move their marker a number of spaces equal to the silver at the top of the card. So this will move 1, 2, like that. Then they're always going to check if they can do what it says at the top, and then if not, they will do what it says at the bottom. So in this case, it says if there are 3+ scroll cards in the House of Wisdom, they will translate. If not, they will take a travel action. But right now, looking at the main board, there are 3 cards in the House of Wisdom. So when they take the translate action, they're going to look at their language focus here, which is Greek. Now looking at the House of Wisdom, there are no Greek scrolls there. So they will move to the next spot on their board, which is Hebrew. So they are going to translate this Hebrew card. And when the AI takes a card, they're flipping it over and they're going to slot it into the location where they translated, which is Hebrew. And then they'll place a number of gold from the supply as printed there. So they're going to place 1 gold in this case. And the way the AI places gold is they will always start from the rightmost area, coming to the left side, placing first on neutral translators that have the matching language. If that doesn't satisfy the number of gold, then my translators that have the matching language. If that still doesn't work, then neutral translators of any language, and then finally my translators of any language. So going across here until we see Hebrew, there is a neutral translator with Hebrew, so I will place 1 gold on them. And that is the end of the AI's turn. So my turn. I have a red die, but I don't have any way to make purple at the moment because I don't have any blue. But also, looking at the board, this space right here is very tempting because if I place here, I will get 2 influence in the Green Guild, which isn't really what I was focused on. But I do have a yellow die that eventually could become green in future turns. So what I might do is push one of those Sanskrit cards over there, or even this Persian over there. But I think I like this one. The problem is I don't have 4 coins. I didn't pay for that other guy. I need to put 2 of my coins back. But yes, I only have 3 coins. So I think what I'm going to do is going to sort of do 2 things at the same time. I'm going to take a research action, but only with a 1, so I can take a blue meeple and a coin. So coming back to my player board, research is here. And right now, all of my sort of income things are sort of at the same level. Red would be nice to have, though, because red does give me 1 free meeple during the rest action. And I'm just going to place that 1 there, because that 1 lets me, again, from that research track, simply take 1 coin and 1 meeple of my choice, which will absolutely be blue, like that. And that is my turn. I really hope that they don't send a scroll this turn, but let's see what the AI does. And I did not get lucky. They are going to take that green spot from me, unfortunately, but that's okay. It says if there are 3+ scrolls translate, they won't. First 0, so it doesn't move. So they are going to take their first travel action. And the AI's travel action, they're not actually traveling. They're going to first look at the language here, which is Greek, and look at the map area of the board to see if there are any Greek cards. There are not. So they're going to keep moving to the right until they find one that matches. There are no Hebrew cards there. There is a Persian card. They're always going to start, should there be more than 1 card, from this neutral marker moving clockwise. So starting there and moving around, they find a Persian card here. And then they're going to put the Persian card into the highest spot that they can, which in this case is going to go right there. They don't pay anything, they don't get the gold, but they will get the influence. So doing that, they will place 2 influence into this area. 1 goes at the top because they've now taken control, and the other one goes right there. If in the case like now they were going to place something out, they would then use their color focus, which is focused on the color of the location on their player board where the marker is, to determine which location to place. Then just like I will, once they've done that, they will simply replace that with the next card, which is a Persian card, which wouldn't be bad. Pushing up yellow, which does get me extra colorful dice and gets rid of things. But I still think that I like this Sanskrit card, and I might take that action anyway. But now I have the ability to do purple, and I don't want them to take that away from me. So on my turn, I am absolutely going to be translating this Syriac card. So I need to find a card to play to do that. Chemistry is going up. So I want to play the one that's orange so I get use out of that orange. I will play that there. This red 4 goes, and I need something that's blue, which means I can place either of those 2 dice. And I'm looking at the map track. The spot that I want to get that Sanskrit card is 4 spaces away. So if I use this white meeple with this white die, I could potentially reach that. So I'm actually going to use yellow even though it's colorful. And I will play that blue to make it blue. That's now purple, which means I can translate this scroll from my supply. I need to place gold on translators to move from Syriac to Arabic, which is easy because I have a single translator that does that. Moving Syriac to Arabic does translate that card. I instantly move up on the chemistry track here. And I do not get this gold, but I will get this gold during my rest turn as income. And then my cards just simply get placed in a supply to be scored at the end of the game. Yes. Next, the AI takes their turn. Now, I should mention here, you can see there are two different colors. When the AI has 3 cards of the same color already on their board, they will take a rest action, but I'll explain that when it happens. AI flips again, moving 0. Now, this one is focused on translators. It says if there's at least 7 translators in the bottom row, they will take 2 coins and place 1 gold on their leftmost neutral translator. But there are right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 translators, so instead they're going to take a recruit action and employ a new translator. They're going to try and employ this Greek guy if he's not already on the board, and he's not. So they're going to place him, and they're going to place it in the rightmost space, matching their income value, which is these 2 most recent cards added together. So they're looking for the rightmost slot that scores 0, or costs 0. So they're going to take this Greek guy, flip him over. The rightmost slot that is 0 is here. That gets placed there, and that is all that they do on their turn. We've only got 1 die left, 1 turn left. I want to make use of that travel like I was saying before. Yeah. And I think I am still aiming for that Sanskrit card. Yeah, let's do that. So playing cards from my hand. I don't want to risk the white die for extra bag pull right now. So I can take the yellow track, which lets me spend a coin to get a new die, which isn't bad. The purple track, which right now lets me take a die to get 2 coins. Or the green track, which simply allows me to spend a gold to move up on the green, red, or yellow track. I think this time I want to focus on, I know it's going to mean I have an extra white die, which I don't love right now, but having more money next round will be not a bad idea. And like I said, I want to move 4 spaces, so I'm going to play that 3 with a white meeple. Moving 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I did pass all of these things, but I didn't play orange and I didn't play yellow, so there's nothing that's going to happen. I'm going to take this card, spending 4 coins, placing that here in the purple guild, which means I get to place 2 there and there. And again, this score is only going to matter at the very end of the game, so it doesn't matter which sort of guild I control right now. And we will score or sort of activate the Caliph card moving left to right from guild to guild, so that's not a bad spot to be. I also take 1 gold, and that slots in there, moving up 1 on the astronomy track, which lets me place an influence on a card, and I think I'm going to influence that Sanskrit card itself so that I can get that next time. And then we replace that card. It is another Sanskrit card. Green track, scoring for green track. AI takes their turn, flipping over another card, moving up 1. 5+ translators means they take a translate action. Sorry, not translators. 5+ scroll cards in the House of Wisdom translate action. There's only 3 there. So they are traveling, looking for Hebrew. Taking a peek over there, there is new Hebrew. The next one says Persian. There is a Persian card. So from this neutral, moving around the board to Persian, they take that card. All of these are the same level, but looking at their board, they are at a purple spot, so they will place there, placing 1 influence in the purple guild. Now, in order to take over a guild, you need to have placed more pieces than the opponent. So even if they place a second one there, they will not take influence. They need to place 3 there to take over from me in that guild. And that's the end of their turn, and you see now they have 3 blue cards, so at the next turn they absolutely will be resting. But before they can rest, I'm going to rest. So in order to take a rest action first at the main board, I'm going to take from the bottom of this deck 1 card. And assuming it's not a Caliph card, the first thing I'm going to do is look at this number and move the neutral marker that many black spaces forward. Means 1, 2. Sorry, before I took my turn, I need to finish their turn. This flips over. It's not a Caliph card, so we're safe. That is a Hebrew card. So let's continue my turn. 1, 2. This card replaces that card. And if there was any guild that was completely empty, that card would go into it. But since there is not, that card is simply removed from the game. Then finishing my rest action, we gain income. So here I'm going to take 1 white die and add it into my bag. Here I'm going to activate the purple track. And the purple track says I can gain 1 white die to gain 2 coins. I really want coins. I currently have 3 plus, if you look in there, 3, that's 6 white dice. So I will do that, gaining 1 more white die into my bag to take 2 coins. Then the red track says I gain 1 meeple of my choice. But one thing I do want to say now that I just mentioned meeples, I did translate a purple guild, so I do have access to that meeple already. I know I have red and yellow dice. They probably won't come out anytime soon, but blue seems to be something I'd like. Purples and greens are things that I am interested in, I think. Although that chemistry track is important for me, because I need 1 more level of chemistry to get that. But that's not hard to do. So yeah, let me take, it may be a mistake, but I'm going to take 1 more blue meeple. Then the next one is the orange track, triggers and gets me 1 gold. Then I gain 1 white meeple. And then I trigger my dice income, which currently is still 4 dice. So from my bag, I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 dice, which we know is all the dice I have. They are white. We roll them. Try that again. All right, here we go. Then everything in here, the dice go back into my bag. The meeples that I've spent go back into the supply. These cards refresh like this, and that is my rest turn. So AI is also resting. They're going to do pretty much the same thing. Again, coming back to the main board, they will also pull from the bottom card, which is our first Caliph card. So in the case that we pull a Caliph card during rest, that's the only thing we do. If I pulled a Caliph card when I was replacing a scroll card, I would still need to replace that scroll card. But the way that this works is I'm going to place this here. Then, going left to right through the guilds, whoever is controlling that guild will get to choose one of the 3 things on that card. So in this case, the 3 options are 3 points at the end of the game, 1 point plus a red, blue, or yellow die into my hand, and then this one here says I can retire one of these 2 translators, means I just get them into my retire pile, but I have to take 1 white die, or I can take a gold. So retiring at this point, one of those 2 would be 3 points or 2 points at the end of the game. But I think I really like having more dice that aren't white. So I am going to take that influence. You always take from the bottom unless the one at the top is your only one. Again, because we are tied, they don't take control. I still control. I'm going to take that middle option. I just took a blue meeple. I still have a yellow meeple. So I am going to take a red die to hand, rolling that and getting a 4 red, which you'll see in a minute when we go back to my player board. The AI then, because they also are there, get 1 meeple of any color. But coming back to the AI's board, first you'll see my 4 red that I just rolled. The AI, when they get a colored die, colored meeple, they gain 1 coin. Except for the AI, when they gain 1 coin, they move their marker forward. So that's going to move forward. Back at the main board, nobody has orange. Red is controlling here, so they're going to choose an option on the card. And the way they do that is by looking at which color majority is on their action card. So right now they have 3 blue cards and 1 red card. With blue, they will always select the topmost action, which means they are going to get that 3 points at the end of the game, like that. Then, finishing their rest action, as shown on this card, it says, next, move influence marker on the board left or right. So this is going to move based on which color majority they had. With red, it moves left. With blue, it moves right. So that's going to move forward 1 to a value of 1. Then they're going to get benefits based on what they've done. Any of these that are showing will get triggered. If none of them are showing, means they've played 5, they will retire the translator shown. But there is this open. They're going to influence a card. When they influence a card, they will always attempt to influence a card in the House of Wisdom. They will always influence the lowest level card, means the lowest in that track on that House of Wisdom or on that guild. Let me double check this, but I'm pretty sure. Yes, lowest row. And if there are more than one card matching that language type in the same row, they will then use their color focus. And if everything in the House of Wisdom is influenced, they will then try and influence a card on the map matching their language. But there are 2 Persian cards in the House of Influence. The lower leveled one is this one down here, so they're going to place a card, influence on that card. And then finally, to finish their rest, they simply clear all of their cards and shuffle back up again. All right, so my turn. I'm looking at a few things. I need to interact with the Sanskrit girl, or at least I want to hire her, really. And then once I've got her in my control, I want to translate that. So my action is definitely going to be a recruit action. And I'm not hurting for coins right now, mostly, if I want to spend 2. But spending 2 means that I have to place in a location that gets me a white die. I will need 1 more gold, though, to translate. So I think actually what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to play, and I'm going to hope that, yeah, let's play orange, because I know orange is going to get me a gold each time. At least for now, it might go up, which would be great. And I need a 1 or higher, so I'm just going to play a 2 white there. Means I'm hiring her. I need to spend coins equal to what's there. Having extra dice and get rid of white would be nice. Having an influence would be great because I could put it there in orange and take over orange. But then I have to take a white die. Plus, if I want to translate Sanskrit with her, she changes to Greek. Then Greek changes to Syriac, then Syriac to Arabic. Means I need 3 gold, and right now I only have 2. So I'm going to put her there. Means she's going to be harder to retire. Hold on. Do I? Or do I do that? I can always play the card to get gold, but that's more and more and more white dice. No. Yeah, she's fine there. That's good. Means I need to spend 1 coin and I take 1 gold. So I'm down to 1 silver, but I'm up to 3 gold. And that is my turn, except let me mark her with an influence marker like that. All right, then AI takes their turn, turning over their card, which moves 2, 1, 2. Now, every time they loop, they're going to place their marker on the first spot here and do whatever it says, which in this case is place 1 influence on purple, which is bad for me because now they have 2 and I have 1, so they're taking over that. Then it says if there are 6+ translators at the bottom, right now there are 7, so there are. It's going to place 1 influence on a card and 1 influence on a guild. The card it's aiming for is Chinese. There are no cards here that are Chinese. But they want to place in the House of Wisdom before they place on a map. So they're going to the lowest level, which is these top 2. They're looking at a purple focus. But purple already has my influence. Means the next thing on their board is orange focus, so they're going to place on Syriac card right there. Then, placing on a guild, they want to focus on a place that has no influence of anyone, which is here, so they automatically claim that guild, which is bad for me because they now own all 3 guilds. I got to start working on that, but that's their turn. My turn, I really want to translate that Sanskrit card, I think. Yes. Then, to do so, I want to place a card in the translate area. And I think I'm going to place a green card because potentially I could use that to move up a banner on a different research track. And I need to play purple, so I'll put that 4 red and my 2 blue because I don't need, 2 white because I don't need a high number. That is purple. So my influence comes back, I take the Sanskrit card, and I instantly move up on astronomy, which is just going to let me draw 5 dice in future rounds. that card gets added to my grouping. And now I really need to start focus on Greek scrolls. This card then slides up into that slot, filling in like that. All right then, AI's turn again. Hold on. I keep messing up. I forgot to take this again. I should have that because I did get her as a translator. So if I can push orange up, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But I don't see that happening right now because I don't have any more red stuff. Anyway, we'll see what happens. AI takes their turn. Moves up once. 5 plus translators at the bottom. There's still 7, so they're placing an influence and a guild and a gold on the leftmost neutral translator. All right, so first in the guild, they're aiming for something that has nothing. They all do. Something that has none of theirs. They all do. So they're focused on color, which is orange, so they're going to place in the orange guild. And then 1 gold on the leftmost neutral translator, which is that one right there. And I just realized in doing so, I forgot to pay my gold, which would have been Sanskrit to Greek, Greek to Syriac, and Syriac to Arabic like that. Good. Yes. My turn. I kind of want to push up on orange. I also want to deliver a Greek thing, but this Persian's not bad either. I need some money. There's no great way to get some money right now. I need to start pushing up on purple, which is a problem. All right, looking at the top of the board, this is 7 plus, but would push me up on purple. This gets me 2 money and a draw. Might not be a bad idea. It only needs a 3 die. Yeah, I think I might need to do that, but that only gets me 3 and I need 4 coins to do what I want to do. I need to translate something Syriac soon so he can retire. But if I can get a Persian or a Greek, that would not be bad. And that Persian is not a bad idea. But to do that, I need green. It means I need something blue, and I don't have anything blue. Push up on the yellow track to get a coin. It's not a bad idea. I don't have any gold to do that, though. But if I use an 8, no, there's no way to get to 8. Yeah, then I'm going to recruit to get her, and we'll see what happens. So recruiting, I want purple. No. Purple, red, or yellow. I don't want 1 more white dice. To get more money would be cool, but I don't need it. Well, red is always nice to have because it gets me meeples. And I'm going to play whatever little I can do because I don't need just a 3 or higher. So that goes there. Means I send her out to get 2 coins and 1 draw from my bag. 2 coins. Let's see what we can get from my bag. I got a white die. Not helpful. Rolled a 5. All right. AI takes their next turn. 2. 1, 2. Says, if there are 3 scrolls, there are. I'm going to translate. So she's trying to translate Hebrew, which isn't going to happen. So she's trying to translate Persian, which does happen. And then with the translate, she chooses the lowest row and color focus. So there are 2 Persian, but her color focus is purple. So she's going to translate this one. Influence comes off. It is Persian. Persian slides back into there like that. And she places 1 gold, trying from this way to place on Persian, which is that one right there, like that. That's their turn. Then my turn. This is a perfect opportunity. If I had 1 more coin, I don't have 1 more coin. And to get to Greek, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, screw it. I have to do it. All right, I'm playing that card to take 2 coins, but I have to place 1 white die into my bag. Unfortunately, I play a 6. So over here we're moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to place this Greek card into purple. Means I have to spend 4 coins, but I get to place 2 influence in purple, which means it's mine now. plus I get a gold, and I move up 1 on green, which lets me get 1 more pull from my bag. So I got 1 gold, and a pull from my bag, which is white again, 5, like that. AI turns again, nothing. They will be resting next turn. 3 plus scrolls there are. They're trying to translate Hebrew, there isn't any, so they're going Persian. So they're taking the Persian card again, tucking there, placing 1 more gold on that same guy again, which means he does now retire. Those gold go back to the supply. The AI simply takes him into their supply like that. But before the AI did that, I should have flipped the card and it may be a Caliph. It's not, so we're good. Okay. Syriac. The only thing I have left to do is research if I want to. The only thing I can research is yellow. But if I can push yellow twice, which I can't right now, but I could going forward, I could start culling white dice furiously. And it gets me a coin. Yeah, so I am going to do that. All I've got left is yellow or purple. Neither one is going to change much. White die for 2 coins or a coin to get a die. A coin to get a die might actually not be a bad idea right now. So I'm actually playing both of these because I want to get over 8 so I don't have to spend a gold. So that's a yellow 10, which means I get to move up on the yellow track to get a coin. Plus I get my 2 coins for researching. So that's 3 coins added to my hand like that. So AI rests, coming back to the main board, taking the card from the bottom of the pile is not a Caliph card. It's a 2. So the neutral goes 1, 2, and that Hebrew goes away. And that is going to fill in that slot over there. Then they will, making sure I don't miss anything, move the influence. They've got red, it goes left. Then again, they've got this open, so they're going to place an influence on a card, potentially Hebrew. There is a Hebrew in there, so they will place that there, like that, which is sad because I kind of want that to push up my chemistry, but that's okay. Their rest is done, and we reshuffle. All right then, so for my turn, I have to rest as well. So on the main board, again, pulling from the bottom of the deck, we get Sanskrit with a 4. 1, 2, 3, back to where I am, replacing that with a Sanskrit. Nowhere to put that, so it goes away. Then I get an orange track, which gets me a gold. And remembering that I want to translate Greek next, I think. Yeah, Greek next means 2 gold is going to be enough. All right, then I have to add 1 white die to my bag, which puts me to 9. That's bad. Then yellow says I can spend a coin to get something. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to spend 1 coin to get a die. Let's take a blue die into my bag. And then green says you can spend a gold to go up on a track. That could be nice, but red, blue, or yellow track. Blue up doesn't really help right now. Yellow would have been great if I had done yellow. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. Can I get gold some other way? Not easily. Not easily. Yeah, no, I'm going to pass on that. Then my blue says draw 5 dice. 1, 2. All right, there's 2. Ooh, red, 1. Yuck. 3 more. Ooh, I got lots of colors coming out. That's great. Numbers don't look wonderful, but that's fine as far as colors go. Yay, all of these dice go back inside. I need to start purging white dice or I'm going to be in trouble. I need to push up once. These go away. I need to push up once on orange to get that done. And I need to start, getting stuff done. I'm just not scoring a ton of points. Okay. Cards go away. That's my turn. AI's turn, turning over 1, 2. 1, 2. 3 or more at the thing. He's aiming for Syriac. There is a Syriac. With their influence, influence comes back. That tucks into Syriac. Like that. They're placing 1 gold on a Syriac translator. No, no. That's sad. That's real sad. Well, because look, this is no Syriac, this is no Syriac. The only 2 are my 2, and the first one is this guy. So he's going to retire, unfortunately, which means I can't translate the Greek I was aiming for. But it does mean that I get to slide in a coin somewhere. And I'm going to do that with a travel, because that's going to actually work out in my favor right now. Good. Good. Then, my turn. I think I'm going to take advantage of this to go traveling now while the orange one is empty so I can get some influence in there. But what do I want to put in there? I really do want to put that Sanskrit where I am, but that means I need to use 12. I can do it. It might be silly, but I'm going to do it. All right, so I'm traveling, and I will put the orange one there to do it. I'm going to use this 5 and this 2, but I'm going to use both white meeples to make that a 12. Because if I do that, I can go all the way around the circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, stopping there, taking this. Now, because of my new action, I get a coin, plus these 3 coins is 4 coins, which I need to place in. Means I get 2 influence in the orange guild, which means I'm not winning, but at least I get that, plus I get 1 gold. Now, to translate that Sanskrit, I will need another Greek to Syriac, but I can get that fairly easily. Just need some money. But there is a free one open right now. All right, let's draw to replace that. Okay, Hebrew comes out. Still not another Caliph card. Somewhat shocking. All right. AI takes their next turn. 0. If there are 7 plus translators, there are not. There are only 5. So they're going to take a translator, trying to get that Syriac to Arabic, except I already have one out there. So he's going to go to the next one, which is Chinese, and placing it at the rightmost 2 means that goes right there like that. All right. My turn. I need to get that Greek and Syriac, and it's going to go in the free one because I don't have any money. So I need a 3 plus to do that. But I need to save orange. Well, the 4 blue is perfect then. Recruiting. Let's put the green one there in case, because if I do the green one and I spend the gold to increase a bar, then that bar might come after that. All right, so the 4 blue goes there. Means I've got 4, so I can take this Greek Syriac, and I'm going to put it in a free one because I have no money. That goes there, which means I get to influence a card, and I get, that is my translator, like that. Oops. Like that. And he gets 2 uses. So potentially, he's going to go away after one, but if I got another one, then I could do that Greek as well. And I just realized when I did this, I should have pushed up on orange, placing 1 in the orange guild, which means that should be mine actually. And that also means I've got a 3, so I get this orange die into my bag, and I get 1 more card, which I can now show you. Says I can get a free 5 when I play it, and I can spend a meeple during the nighttime to cull, which is very nice to have. But what am I influencing? Yeah, I think I need to influence that Sanskrit so somebody doesn't take it from me. That's my turn. Yeah, it goes again. Ooh, another blue. They will rest next. This goes 1 through here. Says place a gold on the leftmost neutral translator, which will go on this guy down here, which retires him. Like that. And then they take their real turn, which says if there are 5 or more scrolls, they will translate. There aren't, so they're going to travel. Looking for Chinese. And clockwise from there, this is the Chinese one they're taking, which should get slotted into purple. like that, which means they're only tied with me, so I maintain my control of that. Like that. We replace. It's almost definitely got to be a Caliph. It is. Okay, so the next Caliph slot, when we place here, we're going to place a gold from the supply on every starting translator that's still on the board. And again, that's shown by the little red flag in the bottom corner here. So one for her and one for him means she retires. And then it says we will each get 1 coin for every starting translator we have in our personal retired translators. So looking at me, I have 1, I get a coin, which means the AI has 2 of them here. They get 2 coins, means they move forward 1, 2, like that. Now we trigger the Caliph. So I get to pick something here, and it's not going to matter because I get both of these. So I will take that. Now they have 3 and I have 2, so they are going to switch places with me, and they get a meeple, which again on their board means a coin, which again means push up 1. The orange spot, I'm winning as well. I will take the 1 plus an orange in my bag. I'm still majority there, but they're going to get a coin for that, again pushing forward on their track once. And in the Green Guild, they will abandon the Green Guild like this. They're going to retire one of these 2. Means one of these 2, whoever has the highest value, which in this case they both have the same. They're going to take the leftmost one. And then because they gain a white, then this should slide to the right like that. Sorry, left like that. All right, that's that. I'd love to influence green so I can steal that from them. I also need to get my purple back. We also draw one more time to fill in that hole, which is a new Persian card. That was them. Now it's my turn. I want to translate. Greek is good and Sanskrit is good. I just got orange dice. But that Sanskrit is protected. So I think I might focus on the Greek for now. Do I have purple? No, I can only do orange. Well, then I have to. All right, we're translating. Now, I don't have that meeple yet. I kind of need to do this to get more dice out, but the problem is I can't. Do I want to get more dice somehow? I could recruit. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah, my pass action this time is really not a good thing. I don't have any great way to do any fun stuff. Well, I'm going to do it anyway, and then we'll figure it out. Coin to thing. Yeah, let's do that. That's orange. I need to pay for Sanskrit translation. And Sanskrit to Greek, Greek to Syriac, Syriac to Arabic. He retires. And then I need to put him somewhere. And I don't know what to do with that. I need to do some more researching quickly. Yeah, I'm going to put that in there because I'm going to hope that it does something good for me. Like that. I could slot it in here, but I have to pay to put it in there. It means 1 silver or take 1 new white die. I definitely don't need 1 new white die. All right, so then that Sanskrit gets translated. I go up one more time on orange, which is going to give me double gold now when I activate that. And I do get 1 orange die added to my bag. I'm scoring 1 point for oranges and 4 plus yellow. I don't think I have 4 plus yellow, but I might try to get some more yellow dice in now. Yep. That's that. AI rests. We're getting real close to game end. Drawing from the bottom is a Greek card. Neutral moves 3 times. 1, 2, 3, like that. This will fill in the hole, unfortunately. Then they're moving to the right because it's blue. Then they get an influence in a guild and on a card. Guild is going to be green because nobody's in there, so they'll take it over. And then cards should be Persian. There's no Persian on the board. So then Syriac, no. Chinese, yes. They're going to place there, like that. And this resets my turn, which is also going to have to be a rest. which is going to be sad because it could very well mean we get a Caliph trigger. Wow, there's 3 cards and 2 of them are Caliphs. That's pretty crazy. Okay, Greek, move 3. 1, 2, 3, where I am becomes Greek. Means that Hebrew just goes away because that's not empty. All right. I'm in trouble, trouble, trouble. Then I get trigger a green. I can spend a gold to go up, but I don't have a gold. That was a mistake. Then orange gets me 2 gold. It's a little late for that. I get a coin. Then I get yellow, says I can spend a coin to put a die in my bag. I'm going to do that to put a yellow die in my bag. Let's see if I can get the 4 yellow dice. I don't think that I can, but we'll see what happens. I get a white meeple. Then I income plus 1 extra pull. So I'm pulling 6 dice. All right, we've got 4, 5, 6. Okay, 2 orange and a red this time. I kind of wanted a blue to make purple, but we can always get something if we need to. And there is another Sanskrit in the orange column, which is not bad, but not great. Because it's driving up green, and I'm not going to be level 4 to 6 in green necessarily. These go away. My cards come back. I don't think I'm doing real well this time. AI plays moving 1. Are there 5 or more scrolls? No, there's 4, so they're going to send, which is rushing the game end. That's fine. They're looking for Syriac. There is a Syriac here. They're looking to place in green, which means they get 1 influence there. And then we're replacing, which is, wow, not a Caliph. That makes me a little bit concerned that something happened somewhere along the way and I missed something, but I don't think so. That means I know that the next 2 are absolutely going to be Caliphs. Then what am I doing? I'd love to translate, but I don't have a Greek guy. I mean, I don't have the ability to go from Greek to Arabic. I need a Syriac Arabic, requires a 5+ die. Okay, what do I got? I don't need any extra stuff. Although if I don't rest, then extra coins are perfectly okay to have. Ah, that's the problem. I have 1 coin. Where can I place them? With 1 coin, I can't place them anywhere. But if I play this 2 coin card, I could be okay if I don't rest. So I'm going to play that there and take 2 coins. And then I'm placing a 5 there to take the Syriac Arabic, and I'm placing him down here, spending 3 coins. It means I'm only going to get to use him once, but it means I get a yellow die and I get rid of a white die, which is good for me right now. And that yellow die goes to hand, which is also good for me right now, because what that means is I can get closer to, get more likely to be able to finish this round without resting. It means finish the game before I need to rest again. So that's that. All right, then, AI's turn. 2, 1, 2. He's placing an influence in orange, which means now he will take it from me. That's a problem. If there are 3 or more scrolls, translate. There are. They're looking for Sanskrit, which there is, and they will take. And they need to pay 2 gold. Ooh, that's actually potentially getting rid of or retiring my Sanskrit, which could be real nice. No, 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 no. Yes, she gets retired and then neutral. Hold on, that's not neutral. That's my Syriac. He's going to do that and retire that one for himself. And this one retires for me. I get to tuck her in somewhere. Whoops. And I am going to be translating real soon. And that's actually going to work out real well. I don't think so. No. I can't translate. I need a blue thing. I can't translate yet. I don't have any money. I can't take any white dice. Grr. That's a problem. I think I'm going to have to take a recruit action and make it turn into something. We'll see what happens in a minute. My turn, because I need to do that to turn this into a blue die, or a blue person. Right now, yes. Okay, then green will go up. So I'm going to play green here. Now, what am I going to do? I am definitely spending this to move up on purple, which gets me a meeple of my choice. So I definitely need blue so I can hit that purple translation. Then I get to pick a translator to make something happen. I can go up on purple to get income next time, but I'm not resting again, and that won't score any more points. Influence on orange won't win me any favors, and a coin. A gold. I only need 2 gold. A die and a meeple to hand. 2 gold and a meeple. 2 more draws. Spend a meeple to go up on yellow. No. Get rid of a white and influence a card. I think that is my best option. Or a colored die and I could get a yellow die and a meeple. Do I need money for anything? Potentially I'd like to send stuff, but I don't think I can anyway. Yeah, maybe I can. I'm going to take the 2 silver and a meeple. That goes to the bottom. Got lots of orange, so I'm going to take another blue meeple. Just because, and 2 coins, because potentially I can get enough to send a scroll later if somebody else does not. And then doesn't matter what I needed to place to get her, she's a 3+. So we'll just put a 3 white there to have done that. All right, AI, no blue, no blue. That's not good. 0. If there are 7 or more translators, there are not. So they're going to recruit a new translator looking for Sanskrit. I don't have one on there, so she will come down, placing in the rightmost 2 slot, which is all the way down here like that, which is good because it means she won't retire soon. AI is resting next turn. I need to translate. No, yes. They're going to fill up that orange spot anyway, which is a problem. So I want to translate. Nothing's going to happen. Drawing more dice and meeples doesn't really help me right now. So it doesn't really matter what I play because I'm not resting for sure. So I'm going to go there to translate. I need a purple and a blue and a red. So I will spend, whatever, those 2. Making that blue means purple. And I want to translate Greek. So Greek to Syriac, Syriac to Arabic gets me that card. Both of those translators will retire in a minute. That slides up. I get a Greek card, which is 2 + 1 per green die. I don't have any, I don't think. 4 or more blue gets me 2 points. And I get 1 green die right now, but not to hand, to my bag. Like that, which is good anyway, because it's making that die total better for next time. And that's that, except these 2 both retire, which is good because I'm getting some late game points from them. But it also means I'm going to have to spend a coin that I don't want to spend, or take a white die, which I also don't want. Spend a coin to get an influence somewhere. No, because I need coins to send people and I can't. It's not going to happen. Then let's do that. Spending 1 coin. And I'll slot this here just because it's free. AI is resting. Drawing from the bottom must be a Caliph card because that's all that's left. All right. Then here the AI is placing, because of blue in the topmost slot, I get a meeple. Doesn't really matter at this point. I'll take a red one so I can make purple if I need to. Here the AI is placing here, getting a point, and moving one space to the right on their track because of the colored die. And I get a coin. Oh, that's nice. Then here the AI is taking the bottom one, which gets them a retiree from here. He's worth 2. Plus a white die, which pushes them back left on their track. Like that. Okay. Then coming back here, they get 1 influence on a place where they don't have any. They have all of them, so they're going orange, which stinks because I thought I was going to beat them there, but I can't now. Then they're placing an influence on a card, which should be Sanskrit. Actually, there's only 1 card left that they can place. It's going to be that one, like that. Then they reset. Like that. My turn. I have to take a research action. I don't want to spend a coin for influence, do I? I'd love to get green. But if I spend a coin and I get 2 more coins, that's only 3 coins. But there are 3 scrolls there. I could potentially have enough turns. It's pushing it. Because if they deliver a scroll in the next turn, it's done. Because what I want to do is... I can't. I don't have any more recruit spots left. I could do that twice. And then send a card. But that's hoping that they don't send a card. Yeah, let's try it anyway. Alright, then I am going to play, doesn't matter what, here, putting an orange there. But I gotta spend gold to do that. I can't do that. Hold on. I have no gold. I have no way to get gold. I can do that way, but that doesn't help me. Well, then I might as well come here. But I can do, all right. Anyway, 2 oranges there gets me, but that's greater than 10. That's a problem too. I want lower numbers, because either I need a gold, or, how do I get a gold? The only way to get a gold is to send something. Yeah, just double checking the rules. I can't use dice that I get on my turn. So I couldn't come here to get a die and then use that die, unfortunately. Grr. But wait, I can just do that. I don't know if I'm going to have enough turns for everything I want to do, but if I go there, and I play whatever I want to play, an orange 6, I could just take the 1+ to get a meeple, and draw a coin. But that also let me draw 2 dice. Yay, low is good. And take another meeple. Let's just take a white one because now we gotta hope that they don't do what they think they're gonna do. Is if they draw another scroll card, I only get 1 turn. If they don't, I get 2 more turns and I can do everything I want to. And they says 3+ translate. They will translate. So they're not drawing a new scroll. That's cool. They're looking for Sanskrit, no. Greek, no. Hebrew, yes. So they're translating a Hebrew card, which means they only place 1 gold and they're placing it on a Hebrew translator. Well, I don't have any translators anyway. There are no Hebrew translators, so it goes on their rightmost translator. That's their turn. I don't think I'm going to win, but it's giving me more options at least. Because now I can go there, and I can play that orange 5 with this white 3, which is an 8+, so I don't have to spend the gold. I go up on the orange track, either getting rid of a white or getting a yellow. Now let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 white dice. I don't think I can get rid of 2, so I'm going to get hit anyway. I have 3 yellow, 4 yellow gets me that. I'm absolutely taking a yellow die. And then getting 2 coins. Plus also, getting rid of a white die. No. Okay, I forgot about that. Getting rid of a white die and getting a yellow. So I'm going to get rid of 2 whites and call this my yellow that I just got. I forgot I was doing that. All right, so 2 white go away. 1 from the board and 1 from here, and then my yellow came from there. And I am spending a coin to place an influence. Now this is where I need to be careful. This card should have slid up. I'm definitely placing in green, because if I move a card to green, I will take over green, and that's worth the most points at the end. All right, then let's see what they're going to do next. Moving 2, 1, 2. They're not moving scrolls again. That's a problem. That's a big problem. That means I'm going to have to take an extra turn, and I don't have a space for an action. Grr, because I am going to have to add those 2 white dice right back in again. But that's okay, maybe. And then it says if there's 6 or more translators, there's not. So they're moving a Hebrew translator down into the rightmost 2 slot. There aren't any, so the rightmost 3 slot, it goes there like that. My turn. I have to deliver a scroll card. Now, what am I going to get? Ooh, here. This is going to let me play a meeple to kill a white die. Plus, it's an auto 5. Now, if I go around, I don't care. Ooh, I do care. Hold on. But that's yellow. That's anyway, it's the same thing. Then let's try and push up orange. Sure. Although, I'm going to get 2 more turns. But one of them is going to be a rest turn, isn't it? One of them is absolutely going to be a rest turn. I think I forgot to pay the 2 meeples for that, so those go away. I don't really care. All right, can I pick up anything? I might care. Pick up coins, pick up influence. Nope, just influence on cards. Can I get a green influence somehow? Potentially? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No. Well, I'm playing that. Oh, I see. Hold on. That's 10. No. Yeah. No. I don't need to place any dice. So we'll do that. I'm just going to move to here. Moving twice. Placing this one because my orange is going to go up. Then this goes here. I need to spend 4 coins. I get 2 orange influence and a gold. So my 2 orange influence goes here, and that means I take over the orange guild. This does flip over, which will mean it's our last Caliph card. From the leftover scroll cards that I put aside at the beginning of the game, that gets refilled again. Then here, he's ahead. So they have more red than blue, so they're going to the bottom. Means he's going to recruit one of those 2, taking her because she's 2 points, and moving left once on their track for the white die. Then I take over here, but I'm still tied, so I'm still ahead. Either a point and a purple die, which I don't need right now. I'm taking the 3 points. Hold on. I should get a meeple here. They should get a coin moving forward once here. I'll take a red meeple. Oh, no, a blue meeple back. Then here, they're ahead. They take that point plus a purple die, which means they slide their tracker to the right one more time. And I, as the second place, get a gold. But that means that's the end of the game on my turn. So they're going to get a turn. That was a mistake. I should have rested first. Okay, they're going to get a turn. I'm going to get a turn, and they'll get one last turn. So their next turn is this. Moving 1. If there are 5 or more scrolls, there's not. So they're going to send a scroll. Let's hope it's not. Let's hope it's purple. It's not going to be. It's going to be green. Oh, but green's good. They tie me. Okay, so they're sending a scroll. They're trying to get Syriac. There is no Syriac, so the next one is Chinese. There's no Chinese. Next one's Sanskrit. Yes, Sanskrit. So they're going to place this one in green because that's their color focus, which means they get 1 influence in green, which is A-okay for me. So this is the final round of the game, and I can't play anything because I'm out of spaces, so I have to rest. Regardless, we pull 1 more scroll card from the bottom of the leftovers. It's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, hold on. That should have been replaced first. And now it gets replaced again, like that. Then, green track is triggered. Spend a gold to push something up. Ooh, that's not a bad idea. This pushes up to get 1 point, but this pushes up to get rid of a white die and add something else. Which means I want to add a green or an orange. Let's do that. Spend a gold to get rid of a white die. And I will take a green die. Hold on, what did I do? Spend a gold to push this up. Get rid of a white. I can't take a green. White, blue, or yellow. I still need blue, but I don't think I can hit the number, so blue goes into my bag. Then, spend a meeple to get rid of a white die. Absolutely yes. From my bag, I'll pull out a white die. Then, red says get a meeple. I don't really care, but I'll take a meeple. Then orange says 2 gold, and I can take or place a gold. Well, I don't want to place any gold because that'll help them retire, so I'm going to take 1 gold from him, but I can't because I can't afford to pay him 1 silver for it. So unfortunately, I don't get another gold. Then I have to take a white die to my bag, pull out 4 dice, 1, 2, 3, 4, rolling them, which doesn't matter because I won't have another turn, and then I need to take 1 more white die. Okay, that's the end of the game for me. AI takes 1 final turn, moving 2, 1, 2, which gets another banner, placing a gold on the leftmost translator. There are 3 or more scrolls, so they're trying to translate Sanskrit, which is the one they just placed so they can. And they're placing 2 gold out on translators. I don't think any of them match. Oh, they do. All right, so 1 Sanskrit goes there, and then she's going to place on the rightmost, which is that one, which does retire this card, which stinks because that's 3 points. And that is the end of the game. Now, normally, the gold would come off of the translators and go into your supply for scoring, but none of them are mine. They're all AI, and AI doesn't do anything with gold at the end of the game, so that is that. First thing we want to do is check our dice total. The AI has a dice total of 0. Now, if I dump out all of my dice, unfortunately, I think I still have, exactly 6 white dice. That's a shame. But we've got 6 white dice and way more than 6 not white dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Minus 6 is 6. They have 0, means I get 2 points from that, and they get 0. All right, then pulling up the Garphill scoring app because it's super easy and convenient to use. Okay, then loading up Scholars. We are playing solo variant. Next page, dice sum. I got 2. Whoops, 2. AI gets nothing. Next, whoops. Translators. VP on all retired translators. So for me, looking on my board, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. And the AI has lots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 points. I don't think I'm doing too well, guys. We'll see what happens. Guilds and Caliph cards. All right, well, let's start with me. I rule all of these, which turned out wonderfully. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 points for me. And the AI's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points. 1, 2, and 6 is 8, yes. VP from the research track, the AI doesn't get it. This one gets me 5. And then, wow, that's it. These 3 get me, no, these 4 get me 1 point each. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points from that. And now scroll cards. Let's start with my scroll cards. This one gets me 3 points plus 1 for every 2 gold, which is 1. So that's 4. But then I do have 6 white dice, unfortunately, exactly. So I'm going to lose 3. So 3 plus 1 minus 3 is 1 point. Then my next one is 1 plus Greek and Hebrew. I only got 1 Greek, so that's 2 points. This one is 5 plus Greek and Persian. I only have 1, so that's 6 points. This one is 4 plus 1 per orange die. 1, 2, 3 orange dice. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I have 4 yellow, I do 2 more. So that's 9 points, bringing me from 9 to 18. And then finally, Greek here is 2 plus 1 per green is 1. And 2 if I have 4 or more blue, I don't. So that's 3 more points, 19, 20, 21 points for me. AI. AI is interesting. AI scroll cards score on what it shows here. So for Syriac, they're going to score 1 point for every 2 influence they have in any guild. So on the board, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divided by 2 is 2.5, which is 2, times 1. So that's that. Persian scores 1 point for every neutral translator still on the board. And looking at the board, there are only 2 neutral translators. So that's 2 times 3 is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those go away. Hebrew scores 1 point for every one of these banners they've placed, which is 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 becomes 16. Maybe I didn't do as bad as I thought. Greek would be 1 point for every scroll card they've translated. Chinese, which they also don't have, is just a flat 7 points per card. These will score 1 point per every 2 retired translator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is 4 times 2 is another 8 for 24 for them. And we finish with a final score of 59 to 49. I pulled off a victory. Yay, that's awesome. It was very sort of tight at the end, and I was worried that I was going to get messed up by my 6 white dice. But that is the end of the game. So this is the point of the game where I do like to take a look at components, starting first with artwork. You've seen all the artwork. I don't really need to show anything up close because I have sort of done as I've been playing. But this is, again, artwork by the Micho. I love his work on his Garphill games. And I have to say, I think in this South Tigris world, it's getting even better, maybe. I don't know, maybe it's just a sort of Middle Eastern, science-y kind of stuff that makes me happy. But I really do enjoy the way that all of this looks. Again, if you're familiar with Garphill, the iconography can be a little bit funky at first, but on the other hand, if you are a fan of Garphill like I am, and you have played many Garphill games like I have, the iconography does tend to be similar and repetitive, meaning it's if you know something from one game, you probably know it from another game. And honestly, at this point, after playing this a couple of times, well, more than a couple of times at this point, but the iconography is very straightforward and very, very easy for me to understand, and there's very little reason for me to make any kind of referring to anything once I've played a couple of times. In this game, looks great to me. As far as the quality of the cards go, you can see that there is a little bit of curling going on, which is a shame. Garphill cards are always kind of not bad quality, but not great quality, and they do tend to curve like that, or curl like that a little bit. The player boards also have a slight bow to them. If you can see when I close this, it's not perfectly flat, but that's kind of expected. It happens occasionally, especially now. It's winter time. The air is very dry here, but again, artwork looks great. The quality, meaning the thickness and so on of these, is great. I do love that they punched this sort of centerpiece out in the AI board to have this thing sort of fit into. It doesn't really fit into it because it's a little bit smaller than the track, but it still works very nicely. The colors on all of the components, you've got the red and the purple that you saw. The other colors are a yellow and a blue, or sort of a pale blue and a golden yellow color. The only complaint I do have color-wise is that that player and the gold kind of looks the same to me, and maybe exactly the same, which is a little bit of maybe a poor choice that a common component matches a player's components, but it's not the end of the world, and it's not a horrible thing. It just is a little bit of a confusion for me. But yeah, otherwise the colors are great. They are poppy. It's easy to tell which one's which at a quick glance. The wooden pieces are all very nice, as is to be expected. The coins you've been seeing me use are not the standard coins. The standard coins would be punch out, but these are the metal coins from this world. And I do really, really love these. I used them. I got them for Wayfarers originally, but I play this game a whole lot more than Wayfarers. And I'm very glad to have those metal coins in here. The dice is something I should absolutely talk about because I know that in the past, Garphill has struggled with colorblind issues from what I understand. And you'll see that what they've done here is a twofold thing, which is kind of cool. Some of the colors that might be similar to each other, you can tell by black pips or white pips because it will be shown in the artwork. Hold on. Yeah, you can see here, for example, the orange die has black lines drawn across it. I don't know if you can see that with the glare. The green dice has white lines drawn across it. That represents the black and white pip. Same thing here. The blue die has white lines. The yellow die has black lines drawn to help you identify which die is which. Also, all of the primary colors are solid colors, and all of the secondary colors are transparent or translucent colors, which is really, really clever to do to help it be easier, for example, to understand which one's red and which one's orange at a quick glance. I do appreciate that. The bag quality here is nothing special, but they are pretty sturdy, and more importantly, they're big enough to get your hand deep down into to grab a handful of dice out of. So big thumbs up for that. The main player board is beautiful, but it is a 6-fold board. This board is huge, which is why you have me on 2 different cameras today. Not really a negative per se, but it is very big, so know that you need a lot of space for this game. Finally, the last thing here is the insert for the game. Looks like this. And let me talk to you about this insert, because I have to say, again, Garphill kind of almost manages to hit things out of the park, but again, doesn't quite get there. And let me explain what I mean by that. Each of the different player colors goes up here. The secondary dice, the primary dice, the white dice, the meeples, the money, the gold. In here, you can put the neutral marker and kind of slot in the first player marker. Down here, you've got the 2 small sets of cards, meaning scroll cards and everything else. And here, you can have the translators and sort of all of the other big cards in there. And then I'm not going to do it, but the 6-fold board, you can see that size is that size. And it does hold everything fairly well on top, although the other sort of player boards, the skinny player boards, kind of just fit in a little bit on top. And you can see this piece right here is sort of cut out. That's where the AI board fits. I can show you that now. That fits in there like that between here and here, which is very nice. And it all makes sense and it all holds things well. And realistically, as long as you've got everything really put in there well, the board does sort of keep everything in where it needs to go, but not completely. Still, sometimes things spill from place to place. But the biggest thing that bothers me, because it is so close to greatness, is the curve in these dishes goes this way. If it was this way, it would be beautiful because I could just dig out all of my stuff. But because it's sideways and against the edge of the box, I kind of have to like squeeze my fingers in there to try and get stuff out because there's a wall there and it doesn't really let me get it. So I can't like scoop this way because the curve goes up and down. And there's not a whole lot of space in there for my fingers, maybe 2 or 3 if I'm lucky. So I kind of have to do it little by little and it spills all over the place. And it's sad because it was a clever intended design. It just sort of intended to work differently than what it ended up doing. And it bothers me because it could have been perfect and it's not quite. It could have just been an empty box with bags, which would be much worse than what I've got. This is very, very nice. But the problem is when you get so close to greatness and then flub a few little things, it just bothers me more because I see what it could have been. So it's getting closer to better or getting closer to perfect, but not quite there yet. That's basically all I have to say about the components. Maybe back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. So here we go, another big Euro game from Garphill Games. I've covered a couple on the channel. And up to and including this game, I've played everything that they've released except for the original Shipwrights of the North Sea that was not soloable. And for the most part, I've really enjoyed my experience with every Garphill game that I've played, to differing degrees of how much I enjoyed, but also to differing degrees of sort of how long it stayed active in my collection. I will be honest here and say that the only game aside from this one that I still have in my collection is Viscounts of the West Kingdom, which is just down here off screen below me, and that one will stay in because I do love what it offers, sort of this unique deck building movement puzzle kind of thing that I don't really find in other games. A lot of the other Garphill games tend to be worker placement style games, and while they are unique and while they do offer new twists, eventually, because I have played them many times, I get sort of to the point where I'm not getting anything new and exciting out of them anymore, and unfortunately, because of my need to keep my collection small, they do end up being moved through, but that's not to say that I haven't really enjoyed them. So then moving into this sort of South Tigris collection of games, starting with Wayfarers of the South Tigris. I did cover that on this channel as well, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. I didn't necessarily love the solo mode, but I am very excited about this new sort of grouping of games using dice and dice placement, because I do love dice placement often more than I do love regular worker placement, and worker placement generally tends to be one of the mechanisms I enjoy the most. So I was a little disappointed that Wayfarers didn't like wow me completely. I did enjoy it, but it was sort of just a sort of dip your toes into the world of dice placement from Garphill. This one steps things up quite a bit. It is a little bit heavier, it is a little bit chunkier, it does do quite a bit more with the dice placement, but more than that, this one adds in another big mechanical favorite of mine, and that is bag building. And this time, bag building of dice for the dice placement. Combining these two mechanisms together makes for a game that I really enjoy, and I expect that this one earns its place on my shelf right next to Viscounts like for long times, because I really do enjoy what's going on here. So let me get a little bit deeper into the mechanics and what's going on in this game and why I enjoy it as much as I do. So the core sort of mechanical loop in this game is a couple of things. You are, on your turn, playing a card from your hand onto one of the action slots on your board, and then placing dice onto that card to activate the spot. So it's kind of worker placement in that you're doing this sort of dice placement on this board slot, and the slots do run out, so there are spaces sort of disappearing. But there's no sort of competition for places because you're not placing in the same location as your opponent. So you could call it action selection rather than worker placement, but it still feels quite a bit like a worker placement game. In any case, you've got these slots on your board that, for the most part, are just determining what type of action you can do. There's the sort of movement or transportation action that moves cards or scroll cards from the sort of map area into the House of Wisdom. You've got the recruitment action that allows you to either use the ability of a translator and dismiss them, or to hire or recruit that employ that translator into sort of the House of Wisdom to then later use to translate scrolls. You've got then the scroll action or the translate action that is making use of those translators that have been employed to translate from a variety of different languages into Arabic. And then you've got the sort of secondary mechanism of this game, which is the research action. And the research action gives you a track of all the different colors of the rainbow, red, yellow, blue as primary colors, and purple, orange, and green as secondary colors. And these are tracks that you're going to move up throughout the game that are going to give you bonuses as you move up them, but more importantly, every time you rest means every time you're sort of done with a series of turns of this sort of worker placement, dice placement activity, you rest to get all of your dice back again, or at least back into your bag again to refresh for later, and at that point you get sort of income based on your levels on the tracks. But that's a little bit simplified because it's not just based on your levels of the tracks, it's based on the cards you've played onto the slots as you're playing, because each of these cards is going to have a banner at the bottom of them, and that banner is going to determine which of those tracks trigger when you trigger that rest action. So not only are you selecting a location to trigger the action that you want to make use of, you're also playing a card there that will later give you some kind of rest bonus or income based on the tracks that you tell it to. And this is going to matter because the order of things is going to work left to right when you do the income during the rest phase. And some of the tracks, for example, the green track is going to allow you to move up on a different track when that one's triggered. So you kind of want to put green before the other ones so that green triggers and then the other ones trigger so that you may be further up on that track when the other track triggers. But anyway, coming back to the main point of the game. The core loop is move scrolls to the house of worship, employ translators that match the languages of those scrolls, and then translate those scrolls into Arabic, taking actions. And the way, as I said, is you're going to play a card and then play up to 2 dice on that card. And depending on which action you're taking, the dice are going to do different things. It'll be used in different ways. When you're using the recruit action, the value of the dice placed will determine which of the translators you have the ability to interact with. When you're taking that sort of transportation or movement action, the value of the die is going to determine how far you can move around the track on the map, with a little bit of a bonus that if you use the proper color, you might hit some little abilities along the way. And then when you go to the House of Wisdom, the value doesn't matter at all anymore. You have to have dice matching the color of the house where the scroll is, or the guild where the scroll is in the House of Wisdom, in order to translate that scroll. And that's going to be orange, purple, and green, which are secondary colors, which are going to be more difficult to trigger, and I'll explain that in just a minute, because the other action, the research action, is sort of a mix of both. The color of the die is going, or dice, are going to determine which of those tracks you can interact with, and the value of the die is going to determine sort of what you get out of that action. So if you play a higher die, you may move up more on the tracks. You may have to spend a little bit more resource to get that done. So there's this very interesting balance of sometimes value is important, sometimes color is important, sometimes a little bit of a mix of both of them is important. And it really feels interesting that you're making these decisions because a big part of this game is the sort of bag building aspect of it. And that is through a variety of different actions, mostly from using dismissing certain translators or placing translators into certain locations in the House of Wisdom, because when you do employ them, where you slot them in gives you some kind of ability. So when you slot them in there, you might get different colored dice, and those different colored dice are going to go into your bag. There are a variety of different ways to get those different colored dice. Another way to get those different colored dice could be through the income from specific tracks will allow you to get more dice. Specifically, the yellow track often allows you to get more dice. And also to cull the white dice, because the white dice are not colored and require extra stuff in order to turn them white. So you're trying to sort of add more of these fancy dice and get rid of the bad white dice, or the less exciting white dice, so that you can get more stuff done with fewer dice and fewer actions in later turns. So continuing to talk about these colors, the way that it works is very interesting, because if you play a die of a specific color, it is that color. But it's going to be very difficult to get to the secondary colors, because the secondary color dice are very, very rare. So another way to get to colors is by mixing colors. If I have a blue die and a red die and I mix them, it becomes purple. If I have a yellow die and a red die and I mix them, it becomes orange. Well, that's great too, except the yellow, red, and blue are still a little bit rare when compared to the white dice that are sort of everywhere in this game. Now, we don't want too many white dice, because at the end of the game, you are going to score points based on sort of the difference between colored dice and white dice. Whoever has the sort of bigger difference, more colored and less white, will score more points. Also, if you have 6 or more white dice at the end of the game, you will get negative points for that. So you're trying to get rid of those white dice. But still, for the most part, during this game, a large majority, or at least a large amount of the dice you have, will be white dice. So then another twist to this game is, I said that it's kind of worker placement and dice placement because there are worker meeples in this game. And you can get those through a variety of different ways, as far as special abilities from translators, where you place the translators, or the red track on the research track, which does give you access to a variety of different colored meeples, red, yellow, and blue. And with those, that colored meeple will change the color of any die except its own color into that color. So if I put a blue meeple with a white die, it turns that die blue. If I put a blue meeple with a red die, it turns that die blue. You need to be careful. Blue meeple, red die does not equal purple. The only way to get to purple is a blue die and a red die together. So if I have 2 red dice, I need a blue meeple to turn one red blue, and then blue and red makes purple, like that. So you do have to sort of plan, how am I getting primary colors, and then how am I using those primary colors to get to secondary colors? And yes, later on in the game you might start getting some secondary colored dice, but they will always be pretty rare. The other interesting use of those meeples is, if you play a meeple of the same color as the die, it will increase the value to a 6. So now you have the ability to increase value as well as to manipulate color to help you hit those tracks in different ways to get different stuff happening sort of at the level you want it to as you're going through. Now there are a couple of other things I should talk about. One is sort of the economy of this game. There are silver coins and gold bars. The silver coins are usually how you're going to get the scrolls into the House of Wisdom, and also how you're going to pay to employ the translators into the House of Wisdom. Every time you move a scroll to the House of Wisdom, you got to pay 4 coins, and anytime you move a translator or employ a translator into the House of Wisdom, you're paying somewhere between 0 and 4 coins. And that's going to be interesting because, as I mentioned, the slot that you put the person into determines some kind of bonus ability you get. So it's going to be important to have silver to get those things. Gold is going to be used to pay the translators as part of the translation process. And the way the translation process works is each translator has a specific set of languages they can translate to or from. And you're going to start with the starting language of the scroll, hoping to get down to Arabic, using a series of translators to move to, say, from Greek to Persian, and Persian to Syriac, and Syriac to Arabic. And each translator you use, you need to pay gold. And gold is going to be pretty hard to get. I should mention that coins and gold from the research track can be earned, but those come from purple and orange research tracks, which again are going to be a little bit harder to get to because those are secondary colors. The usage of them, though, you can also pick them up from some of the translators that you dismiss getting those things, and also from, again, from income from some of the tracks and so on. But there are also a couple of cards you can play into your action slot that sort of give you an instant action, or give you an instant ability. There's a card you can play that gives you 2 coins or 1 gold, except what that means is during the rest phase you're going to get, as part of your income, an additional white die, which you probably don't want to have, at least especially later on in the game, when you have started upgrading to colored dice, and when you do want to start culling away those white dice. So it's this really interesting balance of playing with your bag to get your bag to do the things that you want it to do, playing with the translators to make sure you have the translators that translate the languages you want to translate. And then once you have those translators, playing with the scrolls in the map to start sending the scrolls matching those languages to the guilds in the House of Wisdom, but then also paying attention to which color guild you send to so that the dice you've built match the color of that guild in order to be able to translate that scroll with the translators you have. And it sounds like a lot, but really once you get into it, it all makes sense. It really is this cycle of scroll to wisdom, or scroll to House of Wisdom, translator hired, use the translator to translate, and you can always use your opponent's translator. You just need to have extra silver to pay for it. However, when you use the translator, each of the locations, each of the slots that I've been talking about in the House of Wisdom has a sort of gold maximum. And when that translator has been used that number of times and has that number of gold pieces on them, they will retire. And this is another extra interesting wrinkle that's added into the game, because when a translator retires, it slides under one of the action slots on your player board, the first time free, and then you can actually add more under by spending coins or by taking white dice into your bag. And what that means is, anytime you activate that location on your player board, you also get whatever those retired translators have given you. And that's going to be potentially different actions you can take at that location, so you can take the same action multiple times in a round. It could be a sort of plus value that's added to any dice that are placed at that location. It could be a free meeple, it could be a free die, it could be a die pulled from your bag to add to your available pool. It could be all kinds of things, and it's really interesting because that means every time you play, your actions are going to sort of be manipulated or leveled up in a different way that sort of allows you to focus on different pathways and different ways to score points in the game. Because scoring is going to work in a variety of different ways. First, you're going to score based on the flat points on every translator that has been retired and tucked under your board. You're also going to score based on your research tracks sort of how high you've made it on each of your research tracks. But then ultimately, most importantly and most interestingly, you're going to score based on the scroll cards. And the scroll cards are really cool, and the scroll cards make another level of fun here because they give you very specific goals. Some scroll cards give you a nice flat point, and then they score based on other things. You might get 1 point for every specific kind of language you've translated through, or a scroll that you've translated throughout the game. You might get points based on the number of a certain color of dice that you have since playing the game. You might get points based on how high you've gotten on a specific track as you've been playing the research track, as you've been playing the game, and so on. Each of these scrolls gives you sort of an additional end game scoring goal that you then can focus on for the remainder of the game to try and sort of ultimately most efficiently maximize the points in that category. So it's not just about focusing on the right language of scrolls, then it also becomes focusing on these endgame scoring goals of each of the scrolls. But then there's an additional wrinkle that I haven't mentioned, and that's each of the scroll has a specific research track it's associated with. And when it moves to the House of Wisdom, and then again when you translate that scroll, it will bump up that research track by 1 step. So you can actually use the scrolls to advance the research tracks and then potentially score off those research tracks through the scrolls later on at the end of the game. The last small thing, and again interesting wrinkle that is in the game, is the guilds themselves have a sort of area majority influence game that you're playing as well. Every time you send a scroll into one of the guilds, you put a number of influence. If it's the second or third slot, you'll put 1 influence into that guild. If it's the top slot that somehow remained empty, because that does refill as there's a sort of round refresh, you will place 2 influence in that guild. And throughout the game, there will be 4 sort of triggers that trigger when the Caliph comes to visit, that if you are sort of in charge of that particular guild, if you have the most pieces at that particular guild, you will then get some kind of bonus scoring, or some kind of, you might get a die and a score, or retire a translator and get a white die. Anyway, you get some kind of bonus ability for having the majority at that location. Anybody else who's at that location will get some kind of secondary smaller benefit, but for the most part, by owning or by being in charge of, or by ruling sort of that guild, by having the most influence there, you get some kind of bonus as these 4 triggers are triggered throughout gameplay, randomly coming out of the scroll deck at different times through gameplay. Also at the end of the game, if you have the most influence in those locations, you will also score a flat fee. So there's this sort of little area majority game that you're playing as well that will sort of also dictate, or at least push you towards moving scrolls into specific guilds in order to place influence in those specific guilds. And you might also get that influence by moving translators, by dismissing translators, by moving up some of the research tracks. But it is just an extra sort of wrinkle that you sort of want to focus on, in addition to matching languages, in addition to matching colors, in addition to matching your sort of endgame scoring goals. And all of this happening at the same time makes for such an interesting puzzle, dice placement, bag building, sort of set collection. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. And again, it sounds like it could be very overwhelming, but after you play once or twice, it really isn't that bad. And I'm really, really enjoying it. There's actually also in this game 2 sort of game lengths. The sort of standard game is called the epic game, and it gets a little bit long, but not really. I still play it in about an hour and a half or so. And then you can play the casual game. The difference between the epic game and the casual game is simply the number of scroll cards in the deck that you're playing. Now, the epic game is a little bit cooler because your engine, you do get to run quite a bit more. So you do get to sort of make use of the things that you're building. The casual game does cut that off a bit, but the casual game will play in about 45 minutes or less than an hour probably. And it feels nearly as good as the epic game. So if I don't want to sit down for a super long play and I just want to sort of run the gears in my brain and see how much I can do in that sort of amount of time, the casual game works perfectly. That's what you saw in the playthrough, and I think it still stands as quite a good game, though the epic game again does stretch things and lets your engine run a bit more to make it feel a little bit more satisfactory, because you get to see the setup play out a little bit more. In any case, I'm really enjoying this game. So let's talk about the solo, because solo is something that kind of bothered me a little in Wayfarers, not because it was bad, just because it ended up being not that exciting. I have to say Scholars has stepped things up quite a bit. Now, it's not to the level where I would love it like Viscounts, where there's multiple different solo opponents that sort of focus on different strategies in the game. That would have been great to see. Unfortunately, that's not here, but this solo player works very interestingly. You flip over a card, and then it's going to basically tell you that it does one of two things, and it's generally focusing on translators or scrolls. First, it'll check whichever one it is. If it's the translators, it'll check if there's a certain number of translators, then it will generally, I forget what it does, sorry. It does some kind of action if there's enough translators. And if there aren't enough translators, then it's going to generally employ a translator to the translator area, which means that later on when they start doing translation or when you start doing translations, those translators might get used, they might retire, they will score points on that. The other focus is the scrolls. They will check to see if there's a certain number of scrolls in the House of Wisdom. If they are, they will translate that scroll using their translators if possible, then using yours if they can't use their own. Then, if there are not enough scrolls, they will generally take that movement action to send scrolls into the House of Wisdom. So they don't play at all with that center research track. It's only moving things to the temple, translating those things, recruiting translators when they need them. But it works for the most part. And the other cool thing is, I can't remember which color's which. I think blue cards are the ones that focus on the translators and red cards are the ones that focus on the scrolls. But the way that it works is every turn they're turning over a card and leaving it out on the board. There's a number at the top of the card that moves the tracker that every time it gets to the end and loops back around, they get a little bit of a bonus. That's sort of their version of moving up the tracks because some of their scroll cards will score off of those bonuses. But the movement is also to track sort of a color focus and a language focus so that when it comes time to translate, when it comes time to send things into the House of Wisdom, it has some kind of color or some kind of language or something that it's focused on, just like a player would be, so that their steps of move a scroll, translate a scroll, what have you, sort of make sense as they're moving around. And it also sort of helps to randomize the game to give you a challenge as well. But the point is they're playing out these cards and they stay on the board. And as soon as they have 3 cards of the same color, either blue or red, then on their following turn they will rest. And what they do on their rest turn is determined by how many cards they've played out before that rest happened, and also which color of card there is. So the colors of cards and the rest time will also determine that sort of dice value at the end of the game that's colored minus white that you would normally compete with other players in the game. That's how that works with the solo player. And also because they can't be smart about their scrolls, the endgame scoring goals for the scrolls where you get certain points for certain types of scrolls or certain things on tracks, they can't do any of that. So all of their scrolls are placed face down, but then each different language on their player board scores points differently. So maybe one set of scrolls will score on retired translators they've collected. One set of scrolls scores on the translators, the neutral translators that are still inside the House of Wisdom. One set of scrolls scores based off of the number of scrolls that they've translated. One of them scores off of, well, one of them just gives them a flat 7 points for every scroll they've done. So there's a variety of different ways their scrolls work, and you can see that as you play. So you can sort of push them to score for one thing and then make sure they don't have a lot of that thing left in order to score at the end of the game. So there's a whole lot of, while they don't play like a normal player, they don't pay gold for they don't pay gold of their own for translations. They do add gold to the market though, so those cards still do work as if somebody was placing gold. But the point is they don't have coins, they don't have gold, they don't have to pay for their actions. They don't have to place dice to take their actions. They can take whatever action the card dictates. So they are a little bit cheaty, but they don't really break the rules of the game. And they also, because of that card flow system, and because of that sort of focus system with that token that's moving around the track, they are somewhat predictable. So just like if you were playing against a multiplayer opponent, a human opponent, you would be able to sort of predict things they might do based on things they've done before. You can kind of do that with the AI as well, which makes it feel like you're actually competing against the AI, and it's not just something that's running in the background, getting in the way, and scoring some arbitrary score for you to beat. So ultimately, it feels like a fulfilling solo mode that I'm playing against an actual opponent who's actually playing the game. And yes, they're cheating a little bit, but they're following the rules of the game, just not all of the minute sort of details of those rules. In any case, at the end of the game, it definitely feels like I've competed against somebody. I'm definitely excited to see where our scores fall against each other's. So I definitely feel like I'm competing against something and not just sort of hoping to get a good score. I enjoy the solo mode in this quite a bit. That's basically all I have to say about this game. I'm really, really enjoying it, but I was going to originally apologize that this video is coming out a lot later than it should have. I was planning on putting this out in the summer, and then I ran out of time to record it before I sort of disappeared for summer vacation. But I'm kind of glad that I held off for it now, because as this video is launching, in another 2 weeks, week and a half or so, you're going to see a campaign, another crowdfunding campaign for expansions for all 3 of the games in this series, which means this game is getting a expansion, and I'm very excited to see what it adds or what it changes. I'm very curious to see if it affects the AI in any kind of way. In any case, I really enjoy this game, so I'm excited to see more content for it. I'm also now excited to try the next game in this series, Inventors of the South Tigris. All things going as they should, I should have that game by the end of this month. So I don't know how soon it's going to come, but expect a video of Inventors on this channel as well at some point. Again, that's basically all I have to say about this game. As always, I hope that this video was helpful for you. If it was, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.